Hey, what's up everyone? This is Spencer from WakeMAKERS.
Jason from WakeMAKERS. We're here. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We have no idea what we're doing.
First one,
but I think this is a really cool platform to be able to connect with people directly and answer questions in real time and just kind of share some information. This is obviously a topic that we're dealing with a ton this year with the advent of these products. So excited to be able to share some info with everybody.
For sure. So I think we wanted to start out with a little history. I'm pretty sure that everyone attending is aware of the advent of Wakesurf systems, and that every new boat will come with a Wakesurf system, but this all came about in 2013 when Malibu introduced the Surfgate, and then that year and the year after, every single boat manufacturer had some sort of surf device on the boat. The reason being is that it makes wake surfing a lot easier for everyone. So that's the history of the OEM side, and then as far as the aftermarket side, I think we were the first ones with an aftermarket surf system that is automatic with the WaveControl system. That came about in 2015. So we've been able to get that on a ton of different boats, and but there was a huge hole. Obviously, people wanted something that was less expensive, easier to install, and just very easy to use. So that's when a couple new surf systems came about. 8.3 came out with the WakeSurf Shaper in 2015. It actually came to our warehouse in 16, and we've been able to ship it this year. It's been very successful. It's worked really well. And then now we're starting to ship the Mission Delta, which is their universal surf system.
So there's background on history of systems in general, OEM side of things, and then the aftermarket evolution that we've seen. Thought we would go into a little bit of an explanation about the products that are currently available today. And we look at this, internally we look at this really in two different categories. There are those products that are commercially available products, something that a person can go and buy from a various retailer like us or somebody else. And then there's a whole slew of kind of like homebrew, DIY things which are super cool, and we totally support that in a number of different ways, but that's not the right solution for everybody. A lot of people just want something that they can walk into the store, walk out with, or hop on the computer, buy, and we'll ship it to them, and they can go play. So we're going to just focus on those commercial products that are actually available, you can buy today, and kick it off.
Yeah, for sure. I think our favorite by far is the WakeMAKERS WaveControl, featuring the Go Surf Assist tab. This system is fully automatic, retrofittable to most boats, and we do have a template that you can download and print out, put on the back of your boat to see if the fitment will work on your boat. But fully automatic system that is adjustable on the fly, and that's the biggest thing that our customers have been really into, is being able to fine-tune the wave as they're going, instead of stopping the boat, moving something side to side, draining some ballast, moving people to the other side of the seat. All you need to do is turn a knob or push a button, and you've changed the wave.
Yeah, and I'll back up just a little bit. Ever since Surfgate came out, this is a product category that we've been looking at and talking about, and have spent time developing solutions and testing products well before a lot of these were available, trying to find that commercial product that answered the question that our customers had. And so I think obviously it sounds a little bit self-serving for us to say WaveControl is our favorite, but the analogy that we use a lot for customers around here is just all of these devices work just like wakeboard ballast works. The difference is that whereas you have WaveControl, which is like a fully automated built-in ballast system in your boat, the more universal devices, portable devices like the WakeSurf Shaper or the Delta are going to be more equivalent to a bag and pump that you throw over the side of the boat, and everybody's used those, and I think that analogy probably rings true for pretty much everybody. They both are effective, but there's a lot more convenience in the automated solution, and once you experience that, it's like, whoa, okay. And many of us have been on new boats with the surf device on them, whether it's Surfgate or NSS or Mastercraft Gen 2 or whatever, and once you experience that, it's great. So this is a really good product for that, if you bought a boat in 2010, 2011, 2012, love everything about the boat, you just wish it had that surf functionality, that's, makes a lot of sense. It's much cheaper than buying a new boat. So, yeah, I mean, I try and be unbiased in this regard, but that's something that we've, partnered with Go Services on. We've been really lucky to have that partnership and that relationship with them, and we're really happy to have that whole system using their tab and all the other stuff, the controller, the brains, everything that makes that a full surf device. So, yeah. Okay, enough time spent on that. WakeSurf Shaper?
WakeSurf Shaper, the first portable or removable WakeSurf system available. We were able to demo and test prototype version of this system last summer, right at the end of the summer, and I was blown away with the results. Threw it on a couple different boats, and it works. It's definitely at its, when it first came out, it was really the only thing that I knew of that would go on every make of boat. It seemed like everyone had some sort of surf device that they were making and selling, like Jason said, not commercially viable, but they were very make specific, and the 8.3 Wakesurf Shaper really fits on every boat. You have to figure out how to shim it and where to put your Velcro, and it's a really cool product that can make a 19-foot ski boat or a 24-foot wakeboard boat surf a lot better than it did before.
Yeah, cool. So, and then, Mission Delta, this is kind of a cool story, I think, for us. We've been watching Mission for a long time. They started out with kind of more of those specific applications for an individual year, make, and model of boat, not something that, really is effectively a product that, a company like us could offer to our customers, because it was so specific to an individual application. And so, when we started hearing about their universal solution coming out, it really got us fired up for that. And I think it's a cool, interesting take on solving the same problem or creating the same result. But it's just neat to see how different companies approach that and came up with, seemingly different solutions that really achieve very similar results at the end of the day, which we can talk about some more. So that's kind of the high-level summary. I think we're going to get into specific questions for sure about these individual products, but I wanted to take maybe a step back real quick, and I'm sure a lot of people we're covering stuff that they probably already know, and maybe some people were sharing some new knowledge. But I want to take a step back and say, what's a surf device? Why do you want it? What's the benefit of it? Because I think there's a lot of confusion here in the customers that that we're talking with and that our product experts are talking with. So, at a real high level, the benefit of a surf device, this kind of new breed of products, this new category that we're referring to as wake surf devices, is that you're able to weight the boat symmetrically. You can put an equal amount of weight in the boat on both sides. And that's an important distinction, because a lot of people that, a lot of our customers say, I don't want to do ballast, I've got maybe a smaller ski boat or whatever, I'm just going to get a surf device and it will be fine. And the reality is that there's some truth to that, and that we can with the surf device improve the performance of that boat, but that ultimately we do need to have ballast on the boat to increase the displacement of the hull, to make the boat sit lower in the water and displace more water to make a bigger wave. And then the surf device is just mechanically manipulating the position of the boat in the water to generate the best surf wave for that specific boat. So that's a question that we'll get into a lot. Does it work on my boat? Is it, I don't want to spend this money, blah, blah. The reality is that all of these devices work on every boat that they can be installed on. There are some limitations there, which we can get into. But it's a function of where you start with in terms of where you're going to end up. So the results that you'll get for your specific boat are a function of that boat's hull and how it performs. But with the surf device and ballast, we'll be able to get the best performance out of that boat, whatever that is. Certainly there will be differences from one boat model to the next. And then within that you have, obviously static devices, we can change the positioning on the hull a little bit to tweak the performance or change the shape, versus WaveControl, which is fully adjustable from that dash. You can change the deployment of the tab, and that allows you to shape the wave on the fly. Obviously instant transfers from one side of the boat to the other because it's an automated system. So anyway, that's kind of how, did I cover everything?
More displacement, more water behind the boat, bigger wave.
Yeah, so that's the benefit. With an evenly weighted boat, we get more neutral handling. The boat's not leaned over on its side. It's easier to ride on the boat. It's easier to drive it. Feels safer. You can put more overall weight in the boat because you're able to effectively use both sides of the boat for ballast versus just the one side.
Yeah.
And that's really that secret recipe that makes for the the performance that we get with the surf device.
That's it. And I think we quick fire through the frequently asked questions, just some of the ones that, as our sales and customer service team got together, the ones that we get on the phone every single day. So, we probably answered a couple of them, but I just want to go through and make sure that we get everybody's questions somewhat answered before then we start answering questions on the form there.
Cool. So, do these devices work?
They do. They all work. They all work extremely well. And I'm pretty sure we're the only retailer that does this, but we do offer a performance guarantee on the Mission Delta and the 8.3 Wakesurf Shaper. We do offer a fitment guarantee on the WaveControl system. So put the templates on your back of your boat and we figure out real quick if it's going to work or if it's not. And if it's not going to work, we'll definitely get that coming back, or if you've ordered it, we will take it back for sure. But these items, we're actually doing a 30-day performance guarantee. So we are very sure that these are going to work on your boat. So because of that, we're going to say, if you don't like the performance and you've tried to use it a couple times and you just cannot find the best wave, or you do not think that it's better than your wave before, we will take that back.
And I think, just to kind of piggyback on that, we get a lot of this, does it work? Is it going to be worth it? I think, when we look at it, we look back on the last 5 years as wake surfing has become as popular as it is now, and that time was spent asymmetrically weighting a boat, listing the boat over on its side. And if we kind of look in our crystal ball and look forward to the next 5 years, I think we'll find that going forward, this is how you weight a boat. And this is, you'll see boats still certainly that are listed at the lake, here and there, but they'll be the exception, because once you experience a boat that's level and neutral, regardless of how you get there, and certainly there are advantages, in terms of value, cost, or price, or convenience, whatever it might be. It's transformative in terms of the experience that you have behind the boat, and both the quality of the wave and also the convenience of having a boat that's evenly weighted. So yeah, they definitely work. This is not a fluke. It's not a flash in the pan or something like this. This is the future. So okay, does WaveControl fit on my boat? Can I take that one?
Yeah, I can take that one. Yes, it does. WaveControl fits on pretty much every boat. Sometimes there is some heavy modification necessary to get it on your boat, and some people aren't willing to do that. And in that case, then we can decide that it's not going to fit on your boat. But even some of the older nautiques with a very narrow beam and a very curved surface, we do ship this product with a shim that we can shave down to match that contour, and we can get the plate to fit on the back of the boat. Sometimes we run into swim platform brackets that are too low, and so the plate would hit the swim platform bracket. We can do some things to adjust the height of the swim platform. So yes, it does fit on most boats out of the box. Sometimes there's some modification that needs to take place, and we're willing to kind of help with that and walk through it, but that's kind of up to you and how much modification you want to do.
And I would just echo what's been said earlier, which we do have a set of installation templates. There are, I guess effectively our try at home templates that you can download, cut out. You can get to those on the product page for WaveControl and download them, cut them out, tape them together, and you can actually put it on the transom, and it's going to check for a lot of those clearance related issues to make sure that there's enough room to install the system. So that's a good first step for somebody that wants to make sure. Certainly you can contact our product experts too, and we've got a relatively large and growing library of applications that we know are a confirmed fit or a modified fit, or hey, unfortunately because of transom profile of your boat or the shape, it just right now doesn't fit, although with GoSurf Assist we are working on additional tab solutions to fit some of those different boats. So cool. How does the system attach? I'm not sure, is that is that WaveControl or
No, I think that was
everything,
more
or-
of these two.
Okay, I think that's a great one to get into. That, I think for a lot of our customers, that's probably the primary difference when it comes to choosing the WakeSurf Shaper or the Mission is, what's the attachment method. And so if you don't know, the WakeSurf Shaper uses Velcro. It's a industrial marine specific Velcro to adhere it to the side of the boat. And I think that's a really common, like, really, Velcro, that's strong enough to hold it? And we deal with that a lot. The reality is that the pressure of the water flowing against the surface is actually pushing the Shaper into the hull of the boat. So the Velcro is just there to prevent it from really sliding backwards or moving on the side of the boat. So yes, that's totally sufficient, no problems at all with with it coming off. So and then obviously Mission uses, or not obviously, if you don't know this, but Mission uses industrial style suction cups like you see for holding panels of glass or countertops, that kind of thing. And that works really well in our experience. We haven't had any issues with it. So I think that's probably the biggest difference between them from talking to customers.
It would be mounting. Yeah, everybody wants to know what the performance difference is, and it's not really there. It's all about the way that it mounts.
We've tested this ourselves, not just going on the word. We've had probably at least a dozen or more different boats, really from a wide spectrum of small 20-foot direct drives to, we've had it on our 2016 Malibu WakeSurf 23 LSV, and they're both effective. They both do the job. So I want to hit on placement real quick. Is that a good enough segue? So one of the things I think people talk about is Velcro. They say, oh, I don't want Velcro on the side of my boat. But our experience with the Velcro has actually been that it's a little bit nice because you have a repeatable place to put the Shaper.
It's consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent placement on the side of the boat.
So that's something, keep that in mind. You can certainly get repeatable results with. This is a great option because they do include with the device 1 inch and a 2 inch shim that you can use to kind of take up that space. Whereas with the Delta, that isn't always an option just because you do need a relatively flat surface area in the right spot to mount it to. So,
and I think that's been the biggest question that I've come across is, I have a spray pocket or a giant, a giant change in the surface, and I don't think this is going to work. Well, we've been able to work with these shims. Don't ask me to take these apart because it's impossible now that someone put them together. But we do offer more 2 inch shims, 1 inch shims. So even on like an X-Star, second generation, the X-Star that has the really large spray pack pocket towards the bottom, we've been able to double up the 2 inch shims and get that thing to fit on there.
Okay, what does a universal fit mean?
And I think that's more on the Mission side. So they have the smallest footprint out of any aftermarket surf system that I've seen. And so as far as fitting on a lot of different boats without having to use a shim, that seems to be the winner. But what we've found is where that likes to sit is sometimes where the factory likes to put a big graphic or a drip molded sticker. So that's been kind of the barrier to entry on the Mission right now is, hey, yeah, I'd love to put it on my boat, but I have a giant drip molded sticker there. So it's either, unfortunately, remove the sticker or don't use the surf device. So,
totally. And I love this interactive nature. I think I totally agree with that. We've got Caden that's posting here, and apparently that's that somebody over at Mission's son, I think, he's saying, that's my dad's product, yeah, go Delta, which is cool. But he's saying it means that it goes on either side of the boat and fits on any boat, which is done. Essentially exactly what, that's what Spencer just said. So, yeah, okay, cool. Do I still need ballast? Touched on this. Yes, the fact of the matter is that for you to get what most of our customers would consider to be a good surf wave, you have to increase the displacement of the hull. How much ballast do you need? That really just depends on what your expectations are. Who's riding, how heavy are they, what board are they riding on? There's a whole bunch of variables there that go together. And so, yes, you still need to have ballast on the boat, but you can effectively evenly distribute that ballast across the whole boat from side to side, which makes it really nice to drive and easy to switch from side to side. So,
And to touch on that, ballast has still been the way that I've been able to use these products and manipulate the wave shape. So if I wanted more of a skim style wave, I've tried to move the placement of these products, and it does change the shape a little bit, but not like when I add weight to the bow tank or add an extra 400-pound bag in the bow. That will displace the front of the boat and allow that wave to elongate. So ballast very necessary, to get the size of the wave, but also still necessary to manipulate the shape.
And the extension of that, to address some of the questions I've seen here, differences between automated solutions like WaveControl and manual. I think that's probably the biggest difference, is that with WaveControl we're able to have such a large effect on the boat that we can dramatically change the shape of the wave, and you can do that on the fly. So whereas you can't, Spencer said, you can make fine adjustments by changing the position of the WakeSurf Shaper and the Delta. We can make large adjustments on the fly with WaveControl, and so that's probably one of the, besides the convenience, I would say probably one of the biggest benefits versus the manual devices.
For sure. Yeah, that's been my favorite aspect of the product.
Do I need to list the boat over to one side?
The answer is no. You can equally weight the boat. Although with the Mission, talked to a gentleman who had an older X-Star with that spray pocket. The most effective spot for the Mission is down underneath that, in that pocket. So
Which is also a question that we had, so I'm not sure who that was that asked that.
He did have to list the boat over just a little bit, so have a bias towards the surf side in order to raise up that other side and create that effective spot for the Mission. So I know that some boats, because of the contours, you might have to bias a little bit of weight, but it's not that much weight, just enough where you can change the orientation and get that Mission a little higher.
And that can be with people, if you want, or ballast, both, but you're not moving 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 pounds of weight from one side of the boat to the other every time you want to switch. So.
Yeah, it's an easy switch and it doesn't take too much time.
Yeah. Okay, how should I weight the boat with ballast and passengers? So,
I like a bias towards the stern. With the surf systems, I usually don't add as much weight up front as I typically would. Kind of cut my bow weight in half, so maybe go back to the old 60-40 rule that a lot of people used to use for wakeboarding. I think that for some reason the surf systems, it works a little bit better when there is more weight towards the stern, for me.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would also add, this is something that we've been battling for 10 years now, I guess, or close to it, that, how should I weight my boat? Well, the answer is that there's not really one setup. So, mentioned this before, but wave size, rider weight, and board are all intricately related. And so if you change one of those, it's going to have effect on the others. Or, if you've got one board and you have a 120-pound rider on that board, and then you put a 200-pound rider on it, that's going to have a different requirement from a ballast standpoint, whether you're using a surf device or not. And so kind of the way we like to look at that is weight in the rear half of the boat is going to give you a taller wave with more push, and this is obviously a generalization, but it holds true for most applications. Whereas weight in the front half of the boat is going to give you a longer wave, one that extends further back behind the boat, albeit with not quite as much push to it. And so our general rule of thumb is add weight at the rear of the boat until you feel like you have plenty of push and speed, and maybe you're trying to slow the board down a lot, so you're not on the swim platform, and then you can start adding some weight up front to lengthen the wave and give you a longer pocket to play with. So that's just a generalization, I guess, but it certainly applies here. What speed?
This is something that's come up quite a bit. A lot of people without a surf system listed, we talk to people that are at 9.5, which seems really slow to me, all the way up to 12 miles an hour. What I found with the surf devices is that we are still in that middle area, but probably a little bit faster than you would with a listed boat. So, where maybe I'd go 10.4, 10.5 with a listed boat, I might be closer to 11, which I think is awesome. As Jason was talking about with the push on the wake, going faster will make the wake harder. It'll seem more dense, so a heavier rider will actually stay on top of it a little easier, providing a little bit more push to the wave.
Totally. Will my steering be affected at low speeds? This question comes up a lot, actually, and not just for these devices, but customers that call us, they just bought a brand new Malibu that's got surf kit on it. What's it going to be like? So, I don't know. I mean, my experience has been that there's not a huge impact on steering. I mean, you can feel the device to some degree, and it's certainly a function of how fast you're going. So when your rider falls and you first come off the throttle and the boat's still moving with a fair amount of velocity, there's going to be more pull to whichever side the device is on than if you're at idle speed, which is basically it's imperceptible at idle speed. So I would say that's not. I mean, it's a question, but I wouldn't say it's a concern. WaveControl, far less of an impact on the steering input because it's just not creating as much of a yaw angle on the side of the boat. It's not as much of a moment trying to twist the boat. So still feel it, but not as much.
Using all three on one of our boats, I would say, I feel WaveControl the least. These two were very similar, but way better than driving a listed boat. Not having to worry about water coming over the side of the boat is so much better than thinking about, oh, my boat isn't going, I'm gonna have to give it a little bit more throttle to get it to go to the side here. So kind of a non-issue, but definitely a question that comes up.
Totally. Does a portable surf system, do the portable surf systems float? Yes, they both float. They are both designed to have, in terms of the amount of force on them and, the adhesion that's created by the Velcro, they're designed to peel away from the hull of the boat. If you forget and, throttle up and you're driving across the lake at 25, they'll pop off. They both float. The Delta does include a leash to secure it to the transom lifting ring on whichever side you're using it on. So it does pop off. It's not going to go very far, but we have had just from user error, putting it in the wrong spot, or whatever. We've had.
I've actually tried to see how fast I could go. It was right about 20, maybe a little over before it popped off. So
not yet.
It does pop off if you start cruising away.
Cool. Okay, that's our frequently asked questions that we've compiled based on customer interactions. I think now we'll dig into the questions that we're getting in real time. So. Feel free to ask questions.
They're like 2 or 3.
Yeah, right. We're not going to get to all of, especially I have XYZ year, make, and model of boat. Comes to WaveControl, contact one of our product experts. We'll get you the templates. You can check those out, and that's kind of the first cursory step. In the case of the WakeSurf Shaper and the Delta, take advantage of our performance guarantee with those. You have 30 days to try it, make sure you're going to like it. And so, that's really, we have enough confidence in the experience that we've had with all the products to know that they're going to work. So that's the best thing that we can say when it comes to those individual applications. But if you have a really specific question about your boat, hey, I don't think it's going to fit, I want the WakeSurf Shaper, but I don't think it's going to fit on my boat, or whatever, then feel free to email us or call us, and we can answer those questions there. Is there any way to get feedback from people who have done this with the same make model boat as me? My fear is the $1,200 investment isn't going to produce a good enough wake, and I'll end up having to purchase more bags. We get a lot of these questions. I think everybody is working to build out a list and video and pictures of of specific applications. But I think even within that, there's so much. There's a lot of boats out there, but there's also a lot of variability between how the boat's ballasted, and so it's really hard to get an apples-to-apples comparison. So I would fall back on the earlier comment that these devices are, with differences in terms of their convenience or how much effect we can get with WaveControl versus the other ones, they're going to deliver the best results that we can get for your boat, and so that's what it comes down to. You have your own boat, and so we're going to try and get the best results that we can for your specific boat.
YouTube.
Yeah.
The products are both new, so customers are now starting to put videos up, reviews. I've seen a couple. Other shops are putting up videos as well. So I think the best thing is to search your make and surf system, WaveControl, Shaper, Mission Delta and see what comes up, and you might get lucky and someone might have already made a video.
I think that, that might give you the peace of mind. I would say, again, fall back on the fact that, like, WaveControl will guarantee it's gonna give you the results that you want. If you don't like it, you can ship it back to us. That doesn't make a lot of sense for somebody that's put 22 holes in the transom of their boat, and we understand that. So use the templates first to make sure it's gonna fit, and then the results that you get, we have not had a boat that doesn't perform phenomenally well with that device on it. In the case of the portable solutions, use our performance guarantee, put them on the boat, see if it works for you. Only you know what the expectation is that you're trying to get as far as the performance goes. And so what's good for one person isn't adequate for somebody else that that's used to running a lot of weight in their boat listed over on the side, whatever the scenario might be. So there's just too many nuances there for us to say, yeah, you're going to get the wave that you expect. But the reality is that we will get the best performance out of that boat that we can with the surf device by mechanically forcing the boat into the correct position to generate a surf wave, and then combining that with ballast to increase the displacement of the hull. Okay, so I have an 0523 LSV and I built my own surf gate system for last year. Big improvement, but now I'm looking at your product, and the same boat was with an impressive wave. What makes your product work so much better? How different would the surf be if it was just a trim tab? I guess my question is, what does your Surf Assist do over a trim tab? Cool. Some of these have been answered already by our team members beforehand. Yeah, we get that a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a trim tab. It is not a trim tab. It's not a trim tab. Again, we looked at this and have been looking at this space for a while and partnered with Go Surf Assist for a reason. They have a very, very effective tab design here that is not just a trim tab. And so if you've been behind a boat with trim tabs and think that that's what WaveControl is, it's totally different. It's a completely different animal, and that's a function of the tab design and its effectiveness. So hopefully that answers the question for Manny, but if not, contact a product expert. We can run through that with you more. Extra weight create a strain on my older boat, on an older boat like my 99. Will it hurt the motor, I wonder? Okay, that's a ballast related question, goes hand in hand with this. Short answer is no. Longer answer is if you're asking the boat to do more work by making it heavier, increasing the amount of ballast for people on it, then the engine's got to work harder. So contact us for a prop upgrade. That's why we upgrade props, is to solve this problem.
That's right.
How does WaveControl compare to traditional surf tabs? Yeah.
Traditional surf tabs?
Trim tabs?
Trim tabs, maybe.
Sorry,
yeah.
Jeremy, if you want to expand on that question. We're not sure exactly what you're asking, but...
Sanger's had surf tabs for quite a while on their boat, which were just trim tabs. Mastercraft with their Gen 1 system, those tabs were definitely different. They were not just trim tabs. They were purpose-built. So how does it compare? There's no comparison. Yeah. The WaveControl works quite a bit better. Tough to answer that one. It's not an apples to apples.
Yeah, I would say they're completely different things that do have completely different. Trim tabs are just adjusting the attitude of the boat, front and back, side to side. This is totally changing the flow of water to manipulate the hull. So totally different. Don't compare this. Although it has some similarities to a trim tab in terms of its installation where it goes on the boat, it's totally different. Where do you guys find the best location to place the Delta on the boat? How far back? Just below the waterline? This is from Kelly. You have spent more time playing with the Delta, I think, than
for sure
I have. So
for sure. So Mission, they like to call it the perfect zone. It's not a spot. You don't have this one spot on the boat where you have to have it, and if you don't have it there, it's not going to work. It's typically between the stern and about 18 inches forward from that. Any more forward, it's not as effective. You just start to lose your effectiveness. As far as placement, from top to bottom, it needs to be at or just a little bit above the waterline. So it takes the first time trying to figure out where that zone is. But I've gotten lucky on a ton of different boats and kind of just put it forward about a foot and then right at the water line, and it's worked great. Other boats I've had to start going, I could see that the wave wasn't going to materialize, so I either had to move it up or move it back just a tad and just fine tune it.
And I would say that's generally the same rule of thumb for WakeSurf Shaper. We are lucky to have Adam McKay from Ronix here in the comments, and so he's answering some of these questions. So I know Mike asked where's the placement for the WakeSurf Shaper. It's the same concept, but generally as far back on the boat as you can get it, and at or maybe just slightly above the water line when the boat's stationary. Cool. Connor asked, has anyone tried Delta on a 2012 VTX? Was it successful? Again, we're kind of getting into specific questions. I would just say, like, yes, it's successful. It works on every boat. So.
Not a boat yet that it has not worked on.
And for all of these, again, if they fit on the boat, they work on the boat. The principle here in terms of what we're doing is really what it comes down to. And we're altering the attitude of the boat in the water to put it in the right spot. So yes, it works. These are performance guaranteed. Lendl asks, is installation of WaveControl a DIY project? Yes,
yeah, for sure. Majority of our customers do install WaveControl in their garage. Or in their driveway. With our templates and our installation instructions, that can be done by any DIYer, no problem.
Yep, lifetime technical support, so totally help out if you have any questions about the installation. Let's see, Paul asks, how many of the WaveControls are out there? You mentioned no one has had any issues. Are we talking 10 or 1,000 units? So it's in the hundreds. High hundreds. I don't know they're quite over 1,000 units yet, but it's we sell a lot of them. We've had a hard time keeping them in stock. Have we had any issues with the system? I guess that's one question. We've had some isolated issues with the system that have been resolved through our quality control process, and I think that's anybody that's done any type of product development or manufacturing would agree with that. That's just part of the process. So in the second issue, question I guess would be any issues about installation. Just to be clear, there are boats that we can't install WaveControl on. Mm-hmm. We can usually address that ahead of time with those try-at-home templates, but we have had maybe a couple customers that have just said, I'm not up for this installation. Could we get there? Yes, but it was too much for what they were willing to undertake, I guess, how I answer that. Okay, so Jeremy popped back in. He's referring to the Super Surfer tabs. That's what he was wondering about the comparison.
We haven't had our hands on them yet.
Yeah, it's been we've been trying to get a set, but we haven't really been able to. So hard for us to answer that one with any first-hand knowledge. I guess.
I've seen them on the OEM side. I know they're OEM for a bunch of the IOs with the Volvo reverse drive, and they seem to work on those boats. As far as the aftermarket, I know Scott from WakeWorks has installed it on a couple different boats, but I haven't seen any videos or pictures yet. So still just waiting to see some of those, some of the proof there that everything works and it's a good wave, but can't really say yes or no yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been more in the way of footage. I mean, it would seem like if it was really effective that there'd be a lot of footage and video of people posting stuff, but that hasn't happened yet. So check back. Maybe we'll have a chance to get our hands on the set and install them and see how it goes. Okay. I think that's everything on it. Are you guys seeing any other questions that we missed? No? Okay. Cool. So there are a ton of specific year, make, and model questions on here, and we will absolutely talk about those. Here's one, I guess. Mel says, please talk about the volume control on the controller. So this will be a question about wave control. Okay. Yeah, you, me.
You can do it. I mean, I think you know the most about that interface.
So on the faceplate, which is what's mounted on the dash for wave control, we have a knob that you can turn, and that knob is adjusting the stroke of the actuator. So it's manually repositioning or automatically repositioning the placement of the tab in the water, and that's how we change the wave on the fly. So you have the ability to to select what you want your wave to be like every single time you ride. If you want a steeper wave, more, I guess, quote unquote surf style wave, you can get that. If you want a more mellow, longer transition wave for more of a skim style experience, you can get that. So we have the ability to fine tune things and adjust things on the fly.
For sure. To the potentiometer, the fine-tune control and wave control. What I found is that it's actually awesome for new surfers. Surfers that are brand new to the sport, I found that I've kind of dialed that wave back. I've made it a little bit steeper, closer to the boat, but taller so that it holds the surfer more in the pocket. Which has been awesome. So getting people out there, they're not really comfortable on the surfboard yet. We can kind of manipulate the wave to make it a little bit more user-friendly.
Totally.
So that's been an awesome feature of the wave control that I like as far as the fine tune.
Yep. Josh asks, do you feel wave control creates a bigger wave with less ballast than the other systems? I would say yes. But I'll qualify that to say that wave size is not the only criteria that matters.
Yeah.
You know, we get so much effect out of the tab with wave control, and then having the ability to adjust it. Yeah, I mean, I think we can. You know, you will get more performance out of the system than you will out of the portable devices.
Yeah.
But that doesn't just mean wave size. You know, you can have a really big wave, and probably a lot of people experience this really big wave that doesn't have a lot of push behind it, and it's not an enjoyable surf experience. Or you can have a somewhat smaller wave, but maybe it's super long. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of wave control is that, you know, you have plenty of push on the wave, but that extends back. I mean, you know, 20, 25 feet. There's still plenty of push way back there, and that's once you experience that, you know, just the amount of forgiveness that you have, the bigger window, setup time for errors or 360s or whatever, or even just carving, if that's where you're at, it's you know, pretty amazing experience. So, Jeremy, let us know. We get the template for wave control. Yeah, so there's a link to that on the product page in the bottom in the FAQ. I'm getting some looks like me. Okay, if there isn't, we'll get it there. One of our guys can post a link to download those right here in just a couple minutes. And you can also contact us anytime, send us an email. But we'll make sure that's on the product page, so you can download those. Martha asks, do you recommend a boat be ballasted or bagged on both sides or just one side?
Both sides. We want the boat from port to starboard. We want it to be pretty even, and then from bow to stern, that's when we can adjust to change the shape of the wave.
Totally.
With most devices, unless you have the wave control, then you don't have to. You just fill it up and manipulate the plates.
Yeah. And Martha, just to be clear, this is only if you're using a surf device. If you are not using a surf device and you are going to list the boat or asymmetrically weight the boat, then yes, you need to put the ballast on that one side to clean up the surf wave on that one side. So just distinction there. If you're able to use a surf device, or if you are using a surf device, then you're able to weight the boat symmetrically, which is one of the defining characteristics of these products and why they're so popular. Yeah, Josh says, cool, thanks for the time. Surf's up. Thank you, Josh, for joining us. Any other questions from anybody right now? I missed one from David. How many degrees is the mission delta from the side of the boat? Is this degree of the gate adjustable? Okay, so this is a good question, David. I think maybe there's a little bit of confusion about what this device actually looks like. If you have, you've probably seen it, but this is not acting the same way as a Malibu surf gate, if that's what you're familiar with. It's totally different in terms of how it works, and this is fixed, so it's not adjustable. Can be removed to collapse it by taking out these 4 screws, but you don't have to do that. It stows in the storage bag that's included just like this. So not adjustable, stays like that. Alec asks, you can use the delta forward and backwards, right? It doesn't strain the product.
Yeah, correct. So this front plate is removable. You can turn it around, and so just to fit different makes and models, different lengths of boat, you can use it both ways, which is kind of a cool feature. And I think they explain that a little bit in their instructions that come with the product, as well as on their website.
Cool. Here's a fun one. Mike asks, what's your dream surf setup?
As far as a boat?
I was going to say a house in Mexico. Does that qualify?
That's nice. Mine would be a pontoon boat that surfs as well as a 23-foot wakeboard boat. That would be awesome.
To get more concrete, those aren't real answers.
That's concrete.
Yeah, well,
I want that.
I think this is a tough question. I don't know. I'm not sure, Mike. I think you know, in general, I would say this question was a lot more relevant a few years ago, but we've been able to get some really, really good surf experiences behind. You know, I mean, there's a video of the WaveControl, you know, Go Surf Assist tabs on direct drive Moomba Outback that will like put to shame some 23-foot V-drive wakeboard boats that are ballasted, you know, listed over on the side. So, you know, that answer, I think, that's the cool thing about these products is that they make it possible to get a really fun surf experience behind pretty much any inboard boat, which is pretty phenomenal. So,
I would agree.
okay, I think with that, I don't see any other questions. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming by and excited to get all these questions answered that keep coming onto the site. So again, if you have any questions and you think of something later, definitely feel free to give us a call or question here, email us sales@wakemakers.com. We would be more than happy to get your questions answered.
And in general, thanks for joining us for this. You know, maybe leave a comment if you found this format useful. It's something that we're experimenting with to try and get more of a real-time collaboration and answers to questions that are on people's minds. So I think, you know, there's already been topics or conversations about doing a ballast version and a props version and
Surfboards.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So lots of stuff we could do here.
Yeah. So if you see the benefit of that, maybe just let us know so that we don't waste our time doing it, or we do another one if you find the values there. So cool.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.